I'll do this. And I'll do a gradient for this so that you guys can see how to do the gradient roll. I'll do a little review here. So lay out your two colors. Right. When I do the gradient, you can see the ink is at the top of the tray. That's so I can control how much I'm rolling onto the tray itself. And then every now and then you want to pick the roller up as you roll so that the ink spreads out. You can see I'm not getting too much of a blend here because the colors are kind of just side by side. So now what I'm going to do is just move the roller left and right and roll like this so that I can roll that color out a little bit more evenly. So I'm going to take a blank block. It could be the back of your block or it could be a new block, and roll that color up, or roll that gradient up. And you definitely want to make sure that you have enough ink, but you also don't want to have too much ink because you want this layer to dry fairly quickly. Grab a new piece of printing paper and print this solid gradient color onto a new sheet of paper like this. All right. The main point of the first layer is so that you're creating that background color, right? So you're printing that solid background color so that you have that first layer of ink. All right, when you're doing a single color, you can be a little less careful about where you place the ink on the tray, but just, again, make sure you don't put too much. So I've just got a very small amount of ink on the tray. I know it's hard to see because it's like a screen's a little dark and it's a black blob, but when I roll this out, because I only started with a small amount, like about the size of like a nickel or a quarter, I should have the right amount of ink. So now I'm going to ink up my second layer that I'm going to print on top of the first layer. Right. And another thing is, if you're working at this table, just watch that there isn't wet ink on the table surface. You could put a piece of paper down to ensure you have a clean surface, which is what I did here. I've inked up my second layer, and I need to line it up. And this part's called registration, so I need to register the second layer on top of the first layer. It's probably best to line up the long side of the block and then drop it down like that so that the block is face down on the print. Remember to flip this over and then print from the top. Print through the paper and apply pressure that way. You can peel up the corner and check like that to see if you're getting enough coverage. You can't put more ink on the block, unfortunately. At this stage, it's too late for that, but you can apply more pressure. All right, and there's my two-layer print with a background color. So now that adds a lot more to the scene and to the image now that I've got that second layer involved. You could also get more complicated with this. What if I wanted to carve out some of the first layer and create some white space in the print? This one, so one of my AP students did this print of his cat. So it's 3 colors now, black, gray, and white, where he created 2 different blocks and he carved both of them so that he's able to use that white space. But you can see that both blocks are carved, and then when he prints them, they line up so that it creates that two-color print. So that's also another possibility, is that you carve two separate blocks with the same image on it, but where you're carving is different on each one, so that different areas get that raised area for the ink. And then you have to choose your ink colors based on what's going to work with your image. Think about what you might want to do if you've done your single print already and you're happy with that. Think about how you might incorporate a second color, whether you want to do just a simple background color that works with the carved block, or whether you want to try carving two separate blocks in order to create something like this.